Well, good morning. Welcome to Coffee with a Pastor. We're looking at the themes of Advent, and this week we're looking at the candle that we call the Wise Men's Candle and also the Candle of Peace. So I thought we'd spend a couple days looking at the wise men and Herod, and then we would look at the theme of peace. The wise men have seen the star in the sky, and they realize that the King of the Jews has been born. They travel a long way, and they get to Herod, and they ask Herod where is the king that has been born, and he doesn't know anything about it. So he asked his religious leaders, and he says, "Where's the Messiah to be born?" And they said, "In Bethlehem." And so the wise men go and follow the star, and it takes them to where Jesus is staying in a house this time. He's not in a stable, he's in the house. Bet is the Old Testament word for house. And he was in a house, maybe up to 2 years old. And the wise men present him with gifts and of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. We talked about those yesterday. I talked about who the wise men might be. But now we have another character in the story, and it's Herod. I grew up seeing Herod as kind of a crazy guy and a terrible guy, an evil guy, and he was, because of what he did to the children under the boys under 2 in Bethlehem. And I thought we'd read about that and then talk a little bit about Herod. And chapter 2, verse 13, it says, "When they had gone," that's the wise men, "an angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream. 'Get up,' he said, 'take the child and his mother and escape to Egypt. Stay there until I tell you, for Herod is going to search for the child to kill him.' So he got up, took the child and his mother during the night, and left for Egypt, where he stayed until the death of Herod. And so was fulfilled what the Lord had said through the prophet, 'Out of Egypt I called my son.' When Herod realized that he had been outwitted by the Magi, he was furious, and he gave orders to kill all the boys in Bethlehem and its vicinity who were 2 years old and under, in accordance with the time he had learned from the Magi. Then what was said through the prophet Jeremiah was fulfilled. 'A voice is heard in Ramah, weeping in great mourning, Rachel weeping for her children, and refusing to be comforted because they are no more.'" And we realize that Rachel, Jacob's wife, was actually buried in Bethlehem. So you see the connection there. Let's talk about Herod today. Before I went to the Holy Land itself, my view of Herod was just, this is this crazy guy that was king, and for some reason the people didn't rebel and take him out. What I did not know until I went to the Holy Land is not only was he crazy, which he was, he also was a genius, and he was also very ambitious in building. In the 30 plus years that he was in power, he built some tremendous things. And truthfully, when you go to the Holy Land with me, there will be 4 different days we will visit sites that Herod built. The pictures do not do them justice, and I'm just going to warn you about that. But I will show some pictures so you'll know. The first place we usually stop is and usually on the first day when we go, is a place called Caesarea Maritima. It was a seaport that Herod built right there on the Mediterranean. Now there's lots of ruins, and I unfortunately didn't take a picture of a lot of them. But here's kind of the frame of where some of the palace was, right there on the Mediterranean. You would see it would have been a beautiful sight to have your palace and things right there. Depending upon who you listen to, the Apostle Paul might have been jailed right there for when he was. The other thing I find depressing around, I think that's another site of it, just walking towards seeing ruins, was how he had to bring water from miles away. And so this is an aqueduct that water would flow through, and they had figured out how to bring water over several miles. And so that would be a place you would go. Another place that we always visit is Masada. That's great in history. You may have read about that or maybe watched the movie on it. And here's a picture of Masada. And you can kind of see the fort there where they would have been and all. This is a picture from above. That's from up top because it's on top of a mountain. The view from up top of Masada. And another place was Herodium, and it was on a mountain as well, and quite a place, and that's there. Herod also loved to build like things for chariot races or amphitheaters. You can see a picture of that as well. But that's kind of, but when you go, you're impressed with all that Herod did with his building. I mean, he was quite a builder. The other place I did not show, and I should have, was the Temple Mount. I may show a picture of that tomorrow. Forgot to put that in. But the Temple Mount, where the temple was, he did a pretty incredible thing. The temple was built at the peak of a mountain. And I believe it's the mount where Abraham had taken Isaac, and it was up top. And they put the temple up there. But he wanted more room around the temple, and so he literally shaved off top of the mountain and made this level area where they could have the temple, and pretty amazing feat what he did there. And he increased the room around the temple to about 6 football fields. And if you go today, when we always visit the Temple Mount, it's always a little uncomfortable when you go there because it's under the rule of the Muslims, and they're kind of crazy, but or the ones there, I should not say all Muslims are crazy, but the ones around there kind of go a little crazy because we're around their holy site. It's also a holy site for Jews and also a holy site for Christians. But the Temple Mount has a lot of room there and a lot of room around it. And I enjoy spending time there when we go. And So we visit those spots, and you realize that there was more to Herod than just him being crazy. But make no bones about it, he was crazy. He was paranoid. He literally had his wife killed. I don't have my microphone up, Dan. Hang on a minute. Maybe that'd be a little better sound now. But he literally had his wife and some of his sons killed because he was jealous of them, jealous of their popularity, jealous that they might take power from him. When he died, he had left orders to have his other children killed. Fortunately, the person that was charged to do that didn't do it. But basically, he wanted somebody to mourn for him, and he didn't think anybody would mourn for him, so he thought they might mourn for his children. But the thing that we know from the Bible that he did is that when he realized that the wise men didn't come back and tell him where Jesus was, they'd left and went another way, he wanted Messiah destroyed. Pretty evil thought, because that all the religious people were looking for Messiah, crying for Messiah. He wanted Messiah destroyed. And so he had every child, every baby boy 2 years old and under in Bethlehem killed. Horrible thing. Just a horrible person to do that and all, but he did. And so that's the kind of environment that Jesus was born into. Not unlike somewhat we've got going on in our society. But what we're going to talk about the rest of the time is how Jesus brought peace. But make no mistake about it, Jesus came into a very violent, was in a very chaotic society, and he brought peace. And he can still bring peace to our society as well. Well, we'll talk more about peace the rest of the week, and I'll see you tomorrow.